Alright, so time for a little update on the big wing. I don't know what you want to call it, but time for an update on it. So as you can see, I made a little progress, but it looks like more than it actually is. So I'm just going to tell you guys what I've been working on. So as you know, I got this piece here and that one there made. Right now they're just loosely bolted on because I don't have enough bolts or washers, so I need to go get some more of those before I start actually tacking anything together. But basically I made those two pieces and measured the distance against them and then cut a bash bar. So this is just going to get welded up into there like so. From there I've started making the mounts for the wing. So you can kind of see my design here. I've got two bolts holding it on, and that's so that if I ever need to get in the hatch, I can just take this bolt out and the whole thing will slide. So I'll take this bolt and the same one on the other side out, and the whole thing will slide back so I can get in the hatch. So pretty happy with it so far. I really don't like how it currently sits. Like on this one, you can see it starts at a certain size down there and it gets bigger as it goes up here. I don't really want that, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this piece off and trim it like that right here, the second half of the supports to go up, because it goes out like this, and that's just because this thing's loosely bolted on and it's out so far. It's actually gonna be more like this, and then it's gonna go up like that, and then the wing will sit at about the roof height. So that's the plan anyways. And while I have these off cutting them, I'm also gonna drill a big hole through the center of them, and that's going to be for the threaded rod. There's going to be a threaded rod that braces everything up at the level that these middle plates are at. So yeah, I'm going to get more of the stuff made and get all the bolts and washers that I need, and once everything's bolted in to exactly where I want it, I'm going to start tacking things down. But until then, I'm just going to be making pieces. So that's where we're at with this thing. Alright, been getting some more work done on the spoiler mounts. So basically I just cut this threaded rod, and anytime you do that, put a nut on there first and make your cut. Then you can unscrew the nut and fix the threads. Otherwise you'll have a really hard time threading a nut on there. You have to start all the way at that end to get it down here. But yeah, so anyways, got that cut and used the nuts and washers on here, and then just one nut over here to get everything squared up. And then I measured from the ground up to the bar on both sides, and then measured from the spoiler to the plates here. And then I also took a level and made sure the plates were level. And everything's nice and level and squared up and even. So I'm going to just take the welder and put some tacks on everything so that it stays in the right shape. And then I'm gonna take it apart. Well, actually, once I get it tacked up good, I'll probably start building the upper mounts up here, and then I'll tack those, and then once I have everything tacked completely how it's going to be, I'll take it apart and put beads down for all the welds, and then we'll paint it, and that's pretty much it. So I'd say we're roughly halfway there, so making good progress, and I'm liking how it's looking so far. Alright, so we got all the tacks laid down for this section, so it should hold everything together nicely. Because this conduit is galvanized, I pulled the car as far outside as I could to get good ventilation, and I'm also wearing a mask. Not an amazing one, but better than nothing. So I took a lot of breaks and moved away from it to breathe and stuff, so sure it'll be fine. But anyways, this part's all nice and solid and tacked up, so now I'm just going to build the upper parts and tack them together, and then yeah, take it apart, throw down some beads and paint it, and we'll be in business. Alright, so we got our first look of what it's basically going to look like when it's done. Basically I just made these three pieces and this bar right here for the top, and I just measured the distance for the holes and drilled holes in this, and then I just took some screws and washers and mounted the thing up so it's all square, and I tacked these pieces here just to get them to hold, but just small tacks so that I can move them if I needed to. But everything's mocked and tightened down, and it's pretty close to square. It's like within an inch on each side. It's definitely close enough for me. You really wouldn't be able to tell. I know that it looks like it's sitting like this, and that's because the entire car is actually sitting like that. So I'm happy with where it is.
and I'm going to lay down some solid tacks and then take it all apart and lay down some good welds in this thing and then put it all together and it'll be done. So oh, I'm gonna paint it too, don't forget that. But super excited with where we're at. To my eye, it looks super good. A lot of you may not like it. That's okay, because it's not yours. And the good thing is I can always take it off if I decide I don't like it. Alright, so I got everything off the car so that I can finish the welds and paint it. And I did go ahead and tack up the bash bar before I took it down. So obviously the bash bar has been sitting for a minute, and I'm good with a wire wheel, but it's not a big deal, it's just surface rust on it. And these brackets, man, the more I look at them, I'm really happy with how they came out. Keep in mind that these were built opposite from each other and just measuring, you know, to try and make them the same. And I mean, you can see small differences, like up here, those are touching, and over here they're not quite touching. But I mean, when you look at them, you know, from a car that's driving, you would never tell the difference. And look at them stacked up. This is what impresses me, man. All right, yeah, look at them stacked up. I mean, keep in mind each individual piece of this was cut, you know, separately by hand, measured, intact, you know, and they stack up like perfectly, like two of the same piece. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that came out. Not a professional welder by any stretch of the imagination, but my skills are getting better with it. So now, just to make these completely structural, like I've said, I'm going to finish the welds, lay down beads everywhere where we just got tacks, and then I'm going to wire brush it all down and paint it. Gotta get these stickers off too. So, all right, so it's the next day, and as you can see, I got my welding setup going on out here. Because this stuff is galvanized, I am going to weld it out here, and I'm going to wear a ventilation mask, and the wind is blowing and stuff, so it should be pretty well ventilated. And I'm gonna have to put the dog up because of the fumes and because I don't want her to hurt her eyes. She didn't know to stay away from the welds, so she's gonna have to go up too. But I'll just put her up in the house, it's not a big deal. Yeah, I'm just gonna go over these things and lay down proper beads everywhere instead of just the tacks. And when it's done, we'll get them all cleaned up and paint them. I'm gonna do the bash bar as well, so that's the plan. All right, so got the welds all finished up and hit it with a wire brush and some acetone. It's looking, you know, decent. I'm not an amazing welder. I also tried to grind them down to make them look a little bit better. That's probably one of the worst ones, but you know, they'll hold, and it's not gonna be holding that much weight anyways, so I'm happy with it. Got it all cleaned up and did finish the welds for the bash bar too. Those were a little bit easier. Not that they turned out any better, but you know, they're good enough for me. And I was able to wire wheel most of the surface rust off of this, so that'll be good. Throw a coat of paint on everything and let it dry, let it cure out, put it back on the car. Got the first coat on, it's already looking pretty sick. Going to let it dry a bit and hit it with a couple more coats and then just let them cure out. Alright, so this stuff's all painted and cured out and cleaned up, and it actually looks pretty nice. Like, it looks like a decent product that someone might actually pay money for at this point. So I'm gonna bolt it all to the car and see how it looks. And here she is, the finished product. I really wasn't sure about it while I was building it, but now that I see it completed, I think it looks absolutely sick. I'm really happy with how it came out. It was really a pain to take the time to measure and cut and weld and measure and check again to make these two things come out even, but it was definitely worth the effort. It is so sturdy, the whole car shakes, so I'm not going to be worried about it falling off or anything like that. And I really like the look of it. I really like how it came out. Excuse me, dog. Luna's less impressed with it, but that's okay. I like it enough for the both of us. So now that that's done, I'm going to start collecting the parts to put in a hydraulic e-brake, and this thing is one step closer to drifting. So it's the next day. I took the Big Wing Mustang for a test drive, and it drives great. And if you've never driven a car with a big wing on it and you get the opportunity, you should definitely do it. Just having the wing on here being the only difference from the last time I drove it, it feels like a completely different car. It just feels super cool. You feel like
you just feel like a badass while you're driving it. It just feels awesome. So that being said, I'm very happy with how it came out. These things are real sturdy. It shakes the whole car when I shake them, as you can see. There's a touch of side-to-side play, but it's really not bad. The wind doesn't blow it around too much. It's a pretty windy day today, and I didn't have an issue with it. So I'm really happy with the construction of it. I'm happy with how it's squared up. I'm happy with how it looks. I'm happy with how the paint came out. So I'm gonna say this was just a huge success. I'm happy with every piece of it. And if I ever get tired of it or something like that, I can always just take the wing off. So yeah, it's cool. So that's it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should I stay big wing or should I take it off? But no matter what you guys think, I'm probably just gonna leave it for a while because I think it's sick. I'll definitely have it on while I'm drifting unless it poses an issue, but I don't see why it would. But yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned.